Amara Wanjiku grew up in Kibera, Nairobi, one of Africa's largest slums, where the air smelled of charcoal smoke and ambition in equal measure. Her mother Grace had raised her alone. No father, no explanation, just a worn-out photograph Grace kept locked in a tin box under the bed, a photograph Amara was never allowed to touch. At 22, Amara had a diploma in business administration and zero job offers. So she did what thousands of young Kenyan women do. She answered a domestic work advert in the Daily Nation newspaper. Wanted, household manager for Nairobi residents. Serious candidates only. The employer, Richard Odhiambo, one of Kenya's wealthiest men. Tech billionaire. Founder of the Odhiambo Foundation, a charity that had once built 400 schools across East Africa until a financial scandal had burned it to the ground. Richard was a broken man living in a big house. Amara was a sharp girl living in survival mode. Neither was prepared for what was coming. Richard barely noticed Amara the first 3 months. He was too consumed by shame. The Odhiambo Foundation collapse had made headlines across Africa. Board members had siphoned millions. Thousands of schoolchildren had lost their classrooms overnight. Richard had been cleared of wrongdoing, but the court of public opinion had convicted him. He drank too much. He gave too many orders. He was, by any fair measure, difficult. But Amara had grown up around difficult. Difficult didn't scare her. One evening she found Richard staring at a wall of framed foundation photos. Children in classrooms, ribbon cuttings, smiling faces, all now mocking him. She didn't say, "I'm sorry, sir." She said, "Which school hurt you the most to lose?" He turned slowly, like she had spoken in a language he hadn't heard in years. "Kisumu Primary," he said. "I built it for my mother." "Then start there," Amara said simply, and went back to folding laundry. That night, Richard didn't drink. What started as one question became a ritual. Every evening, Amara would bring Richard his tea and ask him one question about the foundation, not to be nosy, not out of pity, out of genuine strategic curiosity. Who were your most loyal donors before the scandal? What was the foundation's single biggest impact metric? If you could only rebuild one program, which one changed the most lives per shilling spent? Richard began to notice something unsettling. This maid thought like a consultant. After 2 months of evening conversations, he finally asked, "Why do you care so much?" Amara paused. "Because those children didn't do anything wrong, and neither, from what I can see, did you." Richard hired a consultant the next morning and fired him within a week. The consultant spoke in frameworks. Amara spoke in solutions. He called her into his study. "I need a co-director for the foundation rebuild. I want you." Amara laughed. "I'm your maid." "You were," he said. "As of Monday, you're not." The foundation's comeback campaign launched quietly. Richard posted a short video on the foundation's dormant YouTube channel. Just him and Amara, sitting at a table, talking through their 12-month rebuild plan. No studio, no script, just honesty. The video hit 2 million views in 48 hours. Comments poured in. "Who is this woman? She's incredible. She's running circles around him in this meeting, and she used to be his maid. Kenya produced this woman, and we are not talking about her enough." Amara became the face of the foundation's revival. She traveled to Kisumu. She stood in the shell of the burned primary school and spoke directly to camera. "We broke your trust. I know some of you don't believe we're back. You don't have to believe us today. Let us earn it." The clip went viral across Africa, the UK, and the United States. Hashtag Amara Builds Back trended for 6 days. Donors returned. Then new donors arrived. Within 8 months, the foundation had raised more than it ever had. Kenya had a new hero. Then Amara's mother Grace fell ill. Amara flew back to Kibera. Sitting at her mother's hospital bedside, Grace reached under her mattress, old habits die hard, and pulled out something wrapped in cloth. The tin box. "It's time," Grace whispered. Inside, the worn photograph, and a letter, and a hospital bracelet from 1999, the year Amara was born. The letter was written in a man's handwriting. "If anything happens to me or to you, she must never know. It is too dangerous. The family will not accept it. Keep her safe. Keep her hidden. I am so sorry, Grace. R.O." R.O. Amara read the initials 3 times. Then she looked at the hospital bracelet. Baby girl, mother, Grace Wanjiku. Father, Richard Odhiambo. The room went silent, except for the sound of the heart monitor. And Amara's entire life rearranged itself in the space of one breath. She didn't scream, she didn't cry, not yet. She drove back to Nairobi in silence, walked into Richard's study, placed the tin box on his desk. Richard looked at it. His face went the color of ash. "Amara." "Don't," she said quietly, "just tell me it's true." The silence that followed lasted 7 seconds. Amara counted. "Yes," he said, "it's true." And then, for the first time in decades, Richard Odhiambo wept. He told her everything. The affair with Grace, young and fierce and brilliant. The family's ultimatum. His cowardice. His 20 years of sending anonymous payments to a woman in Kibera, never daring to know if the child had lived well or badly, terrified of the answer either way. He had hired her from the advert not knowing. He had promoted her not knowing. He had sat across from his own daughter every evening for 3 years, and never known. "Did you ever suspect?" Amara asked. Richard looked at her for a long time. "I thought you reminded me of someone," he said softly. "I just didn't let myself look closely enough." Amara sat with the secret for 2 weeks. Then she made a decision that surprised everyone, including Richard. She posted a 12-minute video on the Foundation's YouTube channel. No title card, no dramatic music, just her face calm and direct. "I need to tell you all something. Not because I owe you my private life, but because this story belongs to every girl who was told she came from nothing." She told everything: the tin box, the letter, the 7 seconds of silence. She told it without bitterness, without performance, with the same clarity she had used to rebuild a charity from the ashes. "I scrubbed floors in the house where my father lived, and somehow in the middle of that we found each other anyway. Blood finds blood. Maybe that's the part worth holding on to." The video hit 50 million views. Richard posted a single response: "I lost 23 years. I will spend the rest of my life making sure she never questions her place in this family again. I am so proud of her I can barely breathe. Dad." Amara Wanjiku trended globally for 2 weeks. The foundation raised $4 million in the 72 hours after the video dropped. Today, Amara Wanjiku is the executive director of the Odhiambo Foundation, legally, officially, and publicly. The foundation has rebuilt 112 schools. It operates in 6 countries. Grace, her mother, lives in a quiet house in Kibera, Nairobi, with a garden she tends every morning. Richard has stopped drinking. And somewhere in Kisumu, in a classroom with a new roof and new desks, and a small plaque that reads, "Built with love, rebuilt with courage," a girl who grew up like Amara once did is learning to read. She doesn't know the story yet, but she will.